then time this issue Brosel Orlando come up, and then a group would come approaching me fella. And me fella started again with that fella discussion. And so me fella endorsed him now. That fella purchase here. With the thinking that by developing now, this for technical partnership. And that's what the still start until today. So that's what Celia had me, in fact, endorsed by Oregon Province for Partnership to Agriculture Institute. The other important thing also, me like for Taslim Leah, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that, and I mean like make mention here to my good minister, colleague Long Lance. Very soon, me fella come up with what proposal be for taking some government land on Northwest for the growth center. Yeah, so me like him, government supporting this initiative. One of the land me fella interested in is Eddie land for me fella issue as a growth center. So it's the land adjacent to Mamara development. And if the government does, or the Minister of Agriculture, you know, got many thinking for further development by constituency by program request for you give Kamla for development as a growth center. In addition to that one, we will also by apply for one for land or Arleo, where me closer to the SINE land. And the intention was for me to take that land and then subdivide it properly, putting what people were or the stop him, and then part of it for the growth center as well. But the important thing is for help him now, SINE for moving people out from land, so that SINE development by continue. So SINE have planned for putting up a campus over there. G province has always been in support of that development, and Monday next week there will be a technical team for the site visit. So me like for January, we push for supporting what initiative so that SINE can start with the project. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, me like for also joining other colleagues for wishing you me a run, yeah. Since we go inside our official institution, and on behalf of my family and me as a minister, and also on behalf of the chairman of the Public Service Commission, Permanent Secretary and staff of the ministry, we like for wishing His Excellency, the Governor General David Tiwakapu and Lady Salome Kapu, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Jeremiah Manele and Madam Manele, Honorable Speaker of National Parliament, Honorable Pastor Nodi and Madam Moti, Chief Justice Sir Albert Palmer and Lady Palmer, Honorable Cabinet Ministers and your good families, leader of the opposition group, the leader of the independent group and your families, honorable members of Parliament and your families, members of the diplomatic corps, constitutional post holders and your families, the church-based churches and faith-based organizations, our government ministries, agencies and other public offices, our provincial premiers and members of the provincial assembly, or the good chiefs and elders of the community, the judiciary, legal services, and legal fraternity, our development partners and friends, business houses, non-government organizations, the management and staff of our state-owned enterprises and authorities, our health and security frontline workers, and all the good citizens of this country. Warm and heartfelt greetings to you all. As we celebrate this festive season, let us take a moment to reflect on the year that has passed. It has been a year filled with challenges, yet also one of resilience, growth, and progress. The Ministry of Public Service, as a backbone of government operation, has strived to support the effective delivery of public services, ensuring our workforce remains committed to serving the people of Solomon Islands with dedication and professionalism. We take this opportunity to thank all public servants for your tireless efforts and contributions toward building a better future for our nation. Your commitment and perseverance are deeply appreciated and instrumental in achieving our shared vision of a more prosperous and harmonious Solomon Islands. Let us acknowledge that God Almighty, for His abundance abundant provisions throughout the year. As we look ahead, we may embrace the coming year with renewed hope and determination, striving together to overcome challenges and realize opportunities for growth and development. Let this Christmas season inspire us to become instruments of peace, fostering kindness, compassion, resilience in our communities. As we celebrate with our families and friends, let our festivities reflect the love of God for humanity and the spirit of Christmas. May the joy and peace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, fill our hearts and homes this festive season. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year 2025. With this, I receive my seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, a request has been put to the Speaker. This is a request based on Standing Order 11.4.5, where under Standing Order 11.4, this is a motion of adjournment that we are going through. And subject to that, a member who is not a minister, seeking the right, obtain the right to raise a public matter for which the government is responsible with a view of eliciting a reply from a minister. Honourable member for Central Honiara, you would want to raise that. Unfortunately, the appropriate minister who would perhaps give a response to that is not currently in the chamber. So that's the only thing. You can raise it, but you won't get any response because the minister responsible may not be here. He is not here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
But because it's required that the minister must reply.
Sir, it is important that I raise this matter, and if it is permissible to you, that possibly the head of the government can take the responsibility to respond on behalf of the minister. Can I have that?
Well, according to the Standing Order, minister may reply, but the motion here is moved by the Prime Minister 11.4, and you're seeking the permission to invoke Standing Order 11.5. But as I said, appropriately, the issue, if you're going to get any response, must appropriately come from the minister, not necessarily the mover of this motion. That's the position of the
I'm
Speaker.
fine. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm fine with no response at all, but I think it is important just to raise it, and perhaps the minister can, if being informed, can put that response in the pigeonhole. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Central Honiara. Unfortunately, the Standing Order requires that the minister you're eliciting a response from the minister. So I cannot really put how you're going to put it no response from a minister. But it must address those issues that you raised. Thank you.
Well, if it is with your leave, I can just raise that matter.
But then that would not be under this particular Standing Order.
Then what would be the appropriate process to do that? I feel that this is a matter of interest to the public. It is a public matter, and therefore I feel that that matter has to be made in the form of, this is the only avenue that I have to be able to ask the question.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Not under this order.
To say, is it, what is the remedy on this particular?
There's no remedy under this because I already alluded to earlier that could have been featured under the Standing Order 25. But this Standing Order 25, a notice has to appear on the order paper for that sitting day. Fortunately, that was not possible. So I will make a ruling that you cannot raise this at the moment And I will now ask the Prime Minister to wind up the debate on the motion. Thank you for your understanding and indulgence.
Thank you.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving the floor to wind up the debate on the motion of SINE. Before I proceed, Mr. Speaker, let me also join others to congratulate the Member of Parliament for Maringe Kokota for her election as the Deputy Speaker. I'm confident that she will discharge her duties in assisting you to manage our legislature and our deliberations. On the same note, let me also thank the new Minister for Public Service, the MP for Northwest Borokanal, for accepting the appointment as the new Minister for Public Service. I wish him well, and I look forward to working very closely with him as we continue to discharge our responsibilities. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to recognize and thank the Honourable Member for West Tonera, who is the Chairman of Government Caucus, for his efforts in always reminding the ministers of the government to take charge in terms of driving the government agenda forward and to ensure that that unity and solidarity is maintained within the government. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank all members of Parliament from both sides of the House who have spoken on the motion. A good number of ministers have spoken. They have outlined the activities of their ministries, but also, in a way, responded to some of the comments that came from the other side of the House in terms of the debate. We've heard the Minister for Environment, for example, responding to the matter that was raised by the leader of the independent group in terms of the need to grow the GDP, but also other matters relating to the economy. Mr. Speaker, the leader of opposition and the member of Auke Langalanga has acknowledged the points that I have made in terms of the value of overseas trips that my ministers and I have undertaken during the last 6 or 7 months. Yes, indeed, there have been a big number of overseas trips undertaken during the past 7 months. That's, Mr. Speaker, partly to do with a number of reasons. First, those meetings have been scheduled to take place this year. So as Prime Minister or as ministers, because we are parties or members to these various organizations, whether bilateral or multilateral, we have to attend to those. I take note of his concern in terms of approval given to ministers. We do have a mechanism where we access a form where we access every request that comes in from ministers or public servants. We use that form to analyze or to assess the value of those trips. And of course, ministers are always reminded to provide reports to Cabinet after their return from these trips. The MP for East Araria, the leader of the independent group, has also made reference to the need to liberalize the energy sector, and we all agree to that, and a number of other ministers have also raised this. That's indeed true, Mr. Speaker. If you look at a lot of the sustainable development goals and targets, it will depend on people, on countries, especially rural people, having access to energy, to reliable energy, in order for them, or in order for us to achieve those SDGs going forward. And the record on that, according to the UN, we are far behind in terms of not only Solomon Islands, but also a good number of countries. We are far behind in terms of achieving the SDG goals and targets. The Minister of Finance and Treasury, who spoke earlier on the motion, again have made reference to the matter of tax exemptions, and he has outlined a number of reforms that he will undertake in terms of ensuring that we have a robust mechanism in place to assess tax exemptions requests. But we all understand that these are provided for in our laws in terms of tax exemption, and they are quite crucial in terms of generating growth and investment for our businesses and for our economy. Mr. Speaker, a number of colleagues have also made reference to the passage of the 2025 budget, and this is important for our country, for our government ministries in terms of service delivery going forward. On that note, I wish to thank the Minister of Finance and Treasury, the Minister of National Planning and Development Coordination, as well as the Minister for Public Service and their officials for putting together the 2025 budget for Parliament to consider. On that note, Mr. Speaker, allow me to extend my sincere gratitude to the Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, the MP for Central Honera, and members of the committee for scrutinizing the budget, but most importantly, for producing a very comprehensive report with very good recommendations. So I support the call to review the standing orders in relation to the Committee of Supply deliberations on the budget. Actually, the whole standing orders needs to be reviewed. This is something that has been raised several times in the last House. Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank you as well, your good self, for your perseverance, your dedication and your commitment, as well as the clerk and all of the staff of the National Parliament for the excellent work in guiding us during the deliberations of Parliament. You have done well, sir, despite some of the challenges that we have faced, but you have been able to get us through this far. I also want to thank your committee secretariat for staying up late to ensure that committee reports are finished on time. Mr. Speaker, let me also take the opportunity to thank members, as I've said, who have spoken not only in terms of their ministry work and activities, but also on a number of important issues that have been raised, including in terms of the need for political stability, unity, and cooperation and peace in our country. We definitely need that, Mr. Speaker, as we all understand, in order for this country to move forward. As I've said, and as others have said, the government's transformational agenda includes a digital transformation. And this is an important area that I would like to reiterate, and as also stressed by the MP for Central Honera during his debate. Will be taking in terms of the review of the promise on the matter of the revenue. Sharing formula. My office, as I've said, we are committed to working closely this Canal in terms of the Canal provinces need to support for. We've also heard from the terms of the customary land recording. And I think the MP for East Harare did raise a point in terms of what Naba Imidim after what land recorded. Sale of Dodo Creek land, and I'm sure that is now clear for our people and for our citizens in terms of the land at Dodo Creek. The Minister of Agriculture, as well as other ministers, have outlined the activities that they have will be undertaking in the course of next year, now that we have passed the budget. And I would like to urge all ministers, including permanent secretaries and staff of your respective ministries, to implement the 2025 budget once we come back next year. Of course, Mr. Speaker, international trade under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is critical, and it is a strategy that the government would like to use as we prepare for graduation in 2027 or not long after that. Mr. Speaker, I guess it's important that as leaders, it's important that we tell the truth to our people and take responsibility for actions or inactions. So people are listening in to our debate, and as such, we must give facts to contextualize our debates. This is just a reminder to all of us. I also call on the media to be fair, factual, and balanced in their reporting, and not to be involved in spreading misinformation and in some cases outright lies. These misinformation and lies can create disunity and division within ourselves. This is why the role of media in disseminating factual news is very important. As others have mentioned during the debate, unity and political stability are essential ingredients for development and transformative changes. It also gives investors confidence to invest in our by the Minister of Police and National Security yesterday, and the MP for Izo Kolombangara in his debate. Mr. Speaker, I anticipate that we will have more bills coming to Parliament next year, and the Minister of Commerce make reference to a number of bills that will come under his ministry. For example, the Special Economic Zone Bill. There are others which are equally important, such as the Mines and Minerals Bill, the Building Codes Bill, the Small and Medium Enterprises Bill. These are some of the legislations that will make up the 2025 legislative program. Of course, when I call for Parliament next year, I will invite His Excellency to open that meeting with his address to Parliament outlining the GNAT legislative program for 2025. Mr. Speaker, the government will continue to focus on the productive and resource sector. This is critical, Mr. Speaker. We must focus, for example, in the fisheries sector, on seaweed farming, agriculture, in the agriculture sector, cocoa, copra, cover, and of course, also in the tourism sector, which received a big slice in terms of its budget compared to previous years. It's also important that members of Parliament should use their CDF in these areas to boost productivity for exports. We now have access to the Australian and Chinese market for our products. We must utilize these trade arrangements to grow our economy. And we heard earlier as well from the Minister of Environment that that focus in terms of our rural population, 80% of which are in the rural areas, this is something that we must pay a lot of attention and prioritize, and the need for balanced distribution of resources among all our provinces in the country. The Minister for Public Service did make reference to how we can better utilize sister relationships, priorities that our respective coming back to Council, Mr. Speaker, I welcome the announcement of the of indigenous trading by providing financial well on the export of seaweed to China. I urge officials to work extra hard to ensure that our seaweed farmers can start exporting to China in 2025. I note we have budget for seaweed under the Ministry of Fisheries. This is an area where the government and private sector can also work together on. Mr. Speaker, let me also take the opportunity to acknowledge our private sector for their contribution to our economy and economic growth, including job creation. I also thank our state-owned enterprises and the Solomon Islands Chamber of Commerce and Industries for your leadership in the private sector. On this note, Mr. Speaker, let me congratulate Solomon Ports for its completion of the biggest domestic terminal in the South Pacific, which I had the pleasure of opening this morning along with a number of colleagues. This will greatly contribute to both the social and economic development in our country, especially in the maritime sector. So, Speaker, let me also take the opportunity to thank our churches for their prayers. Your prayers give us the strength to save our people. Saving our people is not an easy task, and most times we need spiritual sustenance and guidance. So I thank our churches once again, including those churches who normally attend our daily morning devotions, the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. On the same note, Mr. Speaker, and most importantly, I would like to acknowledge and thank our development partners, both bilateral and multilateral partners, for your support, compassion and contribution to the development of Solomon Islands in various sectors over the years and up until now. I thank the people and government vote on the Constitution Amendment Constituency Assembly Sitting Bill 2024. As the Minister of Provincial Government and Institutional Strengthening Assembly Amendment Bill today, Mr. Speaker, this is not the end of the road. Maybe seen as a failure by others, but this government is committed to pursuing this constitutional reform in terms of the federal system. We have spent millions of dollars, as we have heard, over the last 20 years on this system. Now the draft federal constitution is there. It is important that the Constituent Assembly or another body equivalent to that has the opportunity to look at the federal constitution. There are a number of areas, there are a number of gaps, there are a number of processes that has to be undertaken in parallel with the reforms, with this constitutional reform. Of course, as we have heard earlier, there is also the ongoing review of the Provincial Government Act and the policy on the revenue sharing formula, which that ministry, including my ministry, will continue to work on. I note that this is an area of interest by all our provinces. I mean the revenue sharing bill, because it gives them that opportunity to ensure that they have sufficient funding to provide deliver goods and services to our people. So, Mr. Speaker, I cannot respond to all the points that have been raised by colleagues, but I wish to sincerely thank all MPs who have contributed, including my ministers on this side of the House, who have taken the opportunity to outline the activities that their ministry have been undertaking, and also give us the prospects for next year, but also responding to comments that have been raised by the other side. The responsibility lies on all of us to ensure that this country moves forward. Unity, solidarity, and transformation starts with us, leaders of the 50 constituencies, as well as individual citizens of this country. So I would like to appeal to all of us to join hands to ensure that the national interest is at the forefront of our endeavors. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to, before I move the motion and resume my seat, motion to conclude, I would like to thank all colleagues that have extended warm Christmas greetings to me and family. Let me now take the opportunity to extend my sincere Christmas and prosperous New Year greetings to His Excellency, the Governor General of Solomon Islands, Rev. David Tiva Kapu, and Madam Kapu. Your good self, Mr. Speaker, and Madam Oti, and your family. The Honourable Chief Justice, Sabbath Rocky Palmer and Lady Palmer, the Deputy Prime Minister, Honourable Bradley Tausia, and Madam Tausia, Ministers of the Crown, and your spouses. Leader of the Official Opposition, Honourable Matthew Wale and Madam Wale, the Leader of the Independent Members, Honourable Peter Kenlora Jr. and Madam Kenlora, all Members of Parliament and your spouses. The Attorney General and Madam Attorney General, all our constitutional post holders and your spouses, provincial premiers and members of provincial assemblies, to the Lord Mayor of Honera City, Councillor Siapu and all Honera councillors, heads and members of diplomatic corps, representatives of our development partners, representatives of international and regional organizations, heads of statutory organizations, representative of Solomon Islands Christian Association and Solomon Islands Full Gospel Association, church leaders and clergies, and of course women and youth leaders in our country. The Chairman, Executive and members of the Solomon Islands Chamber of Commerce and Industries, representatives of civil society and community-based organizations, senior government officials and all public servants, traditional chiefs and community leaders, and of course, fellow Solomon Islanders and friends of Solomon Islands, including our sick patients that could be in our hospitals, in our clinics, in our dispensaries all throughout the country. And let us all, I also extend my Christmas greetings and New Year greetings to our prisoners who are in our prison stations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the people of Ograno Kihavali constituency and my family, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year 2025. On the same note, on my own behalf and that of my family, I wish to take this opportunity to wish my chiefs, my people, leaders, women and youth leaders included, including youth and children of Ograno Kiawe constituency, a Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year 2025. Mr. Speaker, once again, I wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year 2025. May the birth of our Savior give us new hope and a renewed sense of optimism to face the challenges we are facing, but also to utilize the opportunities that are before us. With these remarks, Mr. Speaker, I move that at the adjournment of Parliament on Thursday, 19 December 2024, the present meeting shall be concluded and Parliament shall then stand adjourned sine die.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. Honourable members, the question is that at the adjournment of Parliament on the 19th of December 2024, the present meeting shall be concluded and Parliament shall then stand adjourned sine die. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Motion is passed. And honourable members, also at this juncture, let me also, on behalf of this Parliament, extend to His Excellency, the Governor-General, best wishes for Christmas 2024 and prosperous New Year 2025. And also the same greetings I would like to extend to the Honourable Prime Minister and the lady, and Madam Manele, the Honourable Sir Chief Justice Sir Rocky Palmer and Lady Palmer, and to all of you, members of Parliament, for this meeting that has just concluded. But I must also not forget that on your behalf, let me also extend our condolences to the people and the government of Vanuatu, especially the Parliament of Vanuatu, who has also been going through this process, the difficulties since the earthquake on the Tuesday this week and also on Wednesday. Honourable members, in accordance with the earlier resolution of this House and pursuant to Standing Order 10.5, the House is now adjourned sine die.